Hey everybody, this is future Brandon. I just want to let you know that the layout of this podcast is a little bit rough. I tried to work on something before the podcast and I actually ran out of time, so I kind of put a little shape right in the middle of our layout. If you're an audio listener right now and you're not even worried about the visuals, then this means literally nothing to you. Thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate the support. So this episode's absolutely amazing. You'll want to listen to it all the way through. So anyway, thank you guys. All right, bye. Hi, welcome to the Required Podcast. Milestone episode 10, surprisingly. Yay, we've reached double digits.
Number 10.
It doesn't sound like much, but it's been like 4 months.
Yeah.
I'm proud of everybody. I'm proud to record.
We're proud of you.
Oh, well, I'm proud of you.
Oh, hugs.
All right, Bearded. All right, Bearded, go.
Hey, I'm Bearded.
I'm Cody.
I'm Ethan. Whoops, forgot I needed to use my real
And we
name.
have a special guest today with us. Go ahead.
Hey, I am Super Duper Garrett Cooper, and I make a game called Black Ice.
That's
And
amazing.
it's an amazing game. I love it
Very
so
fun
much.
game.
All right, fangirl, everybody just go.
Yeah. Me and Bearded didn't want to stop playing. It was like 3:45. We were like, oh, okay, we got to get off here. Get ready. It was so fun.
Can I kick this off with a real quick story about
Go for
Black
it.
Ice? All right, so when I first saw it and I first met Garrett, I was actually working at a game store here in Austin, and we met again at PAX South, and we've met a couple of times since then. But I have motion sickness, like bad motion sickness. I can't play most first-person shooters, things like that. And when I jumped into Black Ice the first time, and I got this blink ability, I think is what it's called, I immediately just, it was so bad. So the next time I saw him, I talked to him and I was like, hey, is there any are there any plans for something, for people with motion sickness? Because this really sucks. I can't use this awesome ability because I get bleh and it's gross. And he's like, let me see what I can do. And he invited me to the Black Ice Discord. And what was it? 2 weeks later, maybe there was not only motion sickness accessibility options in the build he sent me, but there was also color blindness accessibility options. And it was so cool. It became a whole different game. And all of a sudden I'm playing and I'm playing and I'm playing. And oh, look, it's 3:45 in the morning. Shit, I have work tomorrow.
I'm saying those royalties were.
It's
where they at.
yeah.
No, I'm kidding. We were joking about that earlier. Yeah, the first time I ever saw anything about Black Ice was what was it? We were heading to PAX, and mind you, the rest of us are from Kansas, except for Bearded. Bearded's like New Mexico. So anyway, we're flying over to Texas, and Gelf's like, oh yeah, we have I have this game developer dude that I know, and he's making his game, and you should go check it out. I'm like, totally. We're there all weekend, and it was one of those things where, like, you turn a corner and it stood out to everything else, because everything else
The
is just
Hallelujah chorus came up, and it's
I guess. I mean, I'm just trying to tone down my fangirl a little bit, but the color scheme, the music, and everything was right up my alley, and I was just like, I need to get that game. I need to go talk to that dude and see what this is all about. Mind you, Garrett was super busy at the time, and I totally get it. That place was sardine packed. It was nuts. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
go ahead.
it's so hard to talk to people at conventions. Like, I always want to, but it's like, I need water. Like, I desperately need a break. Like, I don't want to stand anymore. And there's also 10 people I have to talk to at the same time. So
Is it hot in the conventions? I would imagine.
It's not hot. So
not too bad. No.
Yeah, it's just that, like, when you stand up and you're talking to people loudly all day because you're trying to get over
your voice
the
is
shoutcasting
ruined.
booth next to you. Yeah. So I'm
There's
just like
also
chugging
body
Gatorade.
heat,
Yeah, just thousands of people walking around, just heat everywhere.
Well, that's
I
the
need to
reason
go to
why
one.
whenever I find your booth, Garrett, I'm always like, hey, how's it going? Okay, bye. I don't want to be that person that, like, monopolizes your time, but every time I see the booth, I just kind of, and then, okay, I'll just leave you alone now.
Yeah, I always want to talk to people for longer, but, like, it's so painful because then, like, while I'm doing that, somebody's having a problem in the demo, and I'm just like, oh, no, you have to read the instructions to play the game. And then, like,
reading sucks. I hate this game.
That's why there's a tutorial.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. It's usually the adults that don't read. The kids are great at it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah,
we
they
grew
like
up with
learning,
needing
yeah.
to read instructions. We grew up with
Yeah.
that
I
because our
didn't
parents
even
didn't know how to work a smartphone or whatever the first time. So
I didn't
Yeah.
even think of that. You basically get to run your own test when you have your own game at a convention on like what demographic,
demographics.
what you kind of see, what they lean towards on certain, UI styles and play styles, and
Totally.
I
And
would
we've
I'd find that
refined,
most interesting.
yeah, like we've refined the demo so much from like what people can understand, how quickly they're able to get into things. Like conventions are super helpful for that. Although you do have to watch out for the convention trap. Have y'all heard about this?
No.
I've only been to
No,
one
what is
convention,
that?
so
Okay, so this is not like for people at conventions, it's for game developers. It's that like it's really easy to make a for instance like a split screen competitive game and have it show at conventions extremely well because it's a great environment for conventions. People are already there with all their friends.
oh, I got
Yeah,
you.
so they're competing against each other.
Right, and that's great, but then you take that game and you try to sell it and everybody's like, "Oh, well, like my friends aren't over." I'm not gonna-"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
because
you need a
your
single player
focus
aspect to
changes.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your
in a lot of
target
cases
audience
you do.
shifts. Sorry.
No, you're right. Yeah, the audience is not necessarily there in the same way that you might think from being at a convention and watching a game show.
So, what kind of changes have you made to the demo after displaying this game, presenting this game at multiple conventions? Because you've been to, sorry for the robot voice,
Fine.
at least 2 or 3 PAX Souths plus RTX and things like that. So, I mean, you've gotten a lot of input from your players. So, what changes have you made?
I want to say we've been to 10 or 5 PAX Souths, 5 RTXs,
Dang.
one
Nice.
PAX East, and 2 Gamer X's in San Francisco.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's been crazy, and I don't know if we're gonna keep doing conventions. It's very tiring.
I can
but
imagine.
yeah, but yeah, some of the things that we've changed. I used to have like, did y'all ever play Diablo 3 on consoles?
Oh God, yeah.
Not on console,
yeah.
but I've played the living hell out of Diablo.
Oh yeah, like I love Diablo. But I always played Diablo 2 on PC, and
Yeah.
then it was really interesting to see how they would do it on consoles, right? So they had that cool like radial menu that you can like very quickly go through your gear and apply it to things. And I had a similar thing a while ago, and it worked if somebody explained it to you or like if you had enough time to figure it out, but like nobody could figure it out at conventions. So
Mm.
yeah. So I switched to a kind of like Minecraft style where it's a virtual cursor or like Destiny.
Yeah, I think your inventory works. it's easy to use real quick. Like it's not like you got to move stuff too much. It's once you get the initial things in your inventory, it's super easy to just if you get something good, you just plop it up there in the better spot. Like it take away from the old one and put the better one in there. It's super convenient. It's very easy to learn. I like it.
Yeah, thank you very
And
much. Yeah, and
this
a lot of
is
that was what are people hesitating on? Because like watching them at conventions is really great for seeing.
Oh, I bet.
I was gonna say that feedback from Cody is he literally just played the game for the first time ever for what 30, 45 minutes. I mean,
Well, I probably play for an hour, but
oh
yeah,
yeah.
around there. But it just flows. Like the game flows. Like you never have to. You hit E, go to your inventory, and it's like you can do anything you need to real quick, and you're back in beating servers. Like it's very quick. You never have to stop and do a lot of stuff. There's no time consuming stuff.
Yeah, I didn't
Nice.
really have any hinders playing the game.
No, it's just fast movement. It's just constant. It's fun.
And I appreciate game developers and whatnot that try something new with their interface, like, oh hey, this makes sense and this makes it, but there's certain buttons that, pardon my language, you don't fuck with. You
Yeah.
don't change WASD to XD, whatever the bottom row is. I can't remember off the top of my head. Like a couple of games I've played. Like, why? Why would you do that? We have, as gamers,
Yeah,
when we play on keyboards, we know where all of these buttons are in regards to WASD. So don't mess with that. And I think it's a good idea to do something, okay, yeah, E is the button that everybody uses for interact, inventory, whatever. And I'm glad that we don't have to relearn those basic keys in order to play something like Black Ice or like, something like that.
yes.
because you just
Yeah.
step into it. Okay, now I can learn what's specific to this game. Now I can learn the commands that are going to be special to this experience, and now I'm going to play for 6 hours straight and forget to pee.
Literally, yeah.
Well, please don't do that, and don't forget your heart medication, like that one guy. That was
What?
What?
there,
Hold
there
on, what?
seriously was there was somebody on the Steam forums that was just like, yeah, so I'm like 60 something, and I really like the game, and I have to like be careful because sometimes I forget my heart meds.
Oh my
and
god!
Oh gosh.
You're like,
he
sir, what
survived.
the-
It
what
was
does that have to do
close,
with
but
me?
he survived.
He's gonna
Addictive
have to
game.
put the black ice skull on his gravestone, when he does
Yeah.
finally
Oh my
go.
God.
Have you,
That
I
would
don't
be
need
great.
that. I don't need
No.
that on my conscience.
Well, the first thing I thought of when I saw your game was I was like, man, I really wonder if he's had anybody who's had like a seizure or anything, because it's a lot of flashy colors and not a lot of strobe
Yeah.
effects, I'd say. But I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
but
Have
it's
people
still-
have people voiced their concerns at conventions about it? They're just like, hey, I like your game, but I just can't look at it.
Yeah, that's actually a lot of people will say like, oh no, this is gonna like half of the comments of the people that don't like it will be like, oh, that's seizure inducing, and I'm just like,
Oh,
well,
gotcha. Troll comments.
Not really, yeah.
no,
Welcome
but
to
I have
Tron.
had some people talk to me, and it's not that it's similar to motion sickness. It's not something that's like super affecting them, but maybe they do have some form of epilepsy, and they say like, hey, is there anything you can do to lower the contrast of things?
Yeah, I was
And
gonna say tone down the colors a little
the
bit.
effects.
Right. So I do actually have a photosensitive mode that changes everything to where there's no grid on the ground. It's just one solid color, and the buildings are solid colors too,
Ooh, that's
um,
cool.
which makes it a lot more palatable for a lot of people. Although I think it's currently broken. I need to fix that. Nobody's complained about it, so
Yikes.
it's not high on the priority list. But I will get to it eventually.
Hot
So
fix.
real quick, because we just kind of like jumped into this, the game that Super Duper Garrett Cooper
Oh,
made
I
is
guess we
called
should fix
Black
mine.
Ice. It's available on Steam. What other platforms
Currently
is it
on
available on?
sale. Right
Yeah, the
now.
one that gives you a better cut.
Oh yeah, it's on itch.io, where it is
Itch.io.
also on sale. Yeah, technically it's on Humble too, but honestly, probably itch.io or Steam is your best bet. It's 25% off right now on both sites.
Oh, nice.
And so real quick, I want to read the description just for the listeners who haven't heard of this game before. I've got the Steam page up. We will link it if you're on YouTube. We'll throw the link in the description. Quote: Jack into cyberspace at light speed in this FPS looter shooter. Play solo or jump into online co-op / PvP with up to 10 people. Hack mega cores. Outmaneuver their AI defenses and steal their procedural loot to customize your arsenal of synergistic weaponry. Think Borderlands meets Tron. Hack the planet. I love.
Thank you.
that.
That'll be 50
Kill it,
bucks.
girl.
I just love the
That was great.
description, especially like the mega cores, hack the mega core, and the procedural loot. At first, when I read that, I had no idea what that actually meant, and then I jumped in and I was like, "Oh, it's Diablo." Okay, I get it, because I'm a point-click gamer usually, so I didn't get it.
Yeah, I try not to mention other games too much, but like Borderlands meets Tron gets the point across so quickly that I can't stop.
It definitely
gosh.
matches it.
Did
The
you-
colors are so cool. I love it.
I think he hired this guy on the reviews. He says, I am super duper excited about Black Ice. I think that's playing into his name a little bit too much. Now, right now Steam sale's on. It's on for another 7 days, and right now it's 11.24, which is pretty good. So,
Well worth it, like over worth it. Like
Yeah.
wait and buy it at full price.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
no, just
Very fun
wait
game.
8 days, then buy it at full price. I have a really now this is a hot button amongst like our hosts here. Now, okay, as soon as I start saying this, everyone's gonna jump on me. So you're on Steam right now. What would be the chances and what you would do if Epic Games came over to you and said, "Hey, we want you on our store"? What would be your thought on that? Would you go to another platform? I guess I don't know if they would pay more. I don't know what the cuts are. You're the developer, but
Yeah, well, I mean, their cuts are definitely better. But that's the thing is, they haven't proven themselves as a store that can actually sell a lot of units yet for games that aren't
Free to play.
necessarily known. Well, games that aren't known already, right? So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
right. So you know, the thing is, like, I've already sold a lot of copies on Steam in early access. If it was just like listed on Steam for people to wish list, that would be one thing. But because I've already sold copies, even if I did get on Epic, I would have to still like maybe take it off sale on
Yeah.
Steam,
Yeah.
but still like give people that bought it all the updates too on Steam, even if I was on Epic, as an exclusive for the next, they do like a year exclusive.
Mhm.
But yeah, they basically have to pay me either in direct money or guaranteed like
Yeah,
marketing
to make it an
dollars.
exclusive. Yeah.
Right.
That makes
Otherwise,
sense.
it wouldn't make sense to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
because
were,
you're already getting Drive on Steam, so
Yeah, we were curious about that because we've been seeing a lot of games make the transfer from Steam to Epic, and I was like, oh, this would be a perfect chance to actually ask a developer, what would happen? Games like Rocket League are moving over, and what was another one like Chivalry? I think smaller
Chivalry
game.
is?
I think
I didn't
wasn't
know that.
Chivalry 2 going to
Well,
Epic
then
Games?
Borderlands 3 is going to be
Borderlands
like
3 is definitely
exclusive.
going over.
Yeah.
Satisfactory is on there.
Satisfactory, yeah.
Sinking Cities on there.
There's a lot.
Observation.
Oh, wow.
I went to the front page just to kind of check out what they had, and like the first
Yeah.
5 games listed in a row, I was like, God, no, fuck,
Yeah.
no, I want that.
See,
Shit.
and I think that their whole thing has to be, their model of doing that has to be, they have to pay these people up front. I don't think enough people see like he's saying they have to pay him an amount up front, or it's not worth switching from Steam to them. Which it kind of makes sense because they're
Totally.
shelling out all this money for the World Cup and all this stuff they're doing. So to bring developers over, it would make sense if they are shelling out money for the games up front.
I mean, they got to do something with all that Fortnite money, right?
Yeah, God,
Yeah.
hundreds of millions. It's insane.
Now I did have another question for you, Garrett. Regarding the platform that you do release on, did having Steam available and things like that, when you were developing for the game, were you developing it to work on Steam specifically? Were you developing to be kind of platform agnostic? Did you have to change anything when you released it on Itch.io? Like, what was the process there as far as that's concerned?
Oh yeah. Well, so Itch.io was first actually. That was where I launched, and I didn't know if the game was going to sell at all. People were like, "Hey, you should put it up. I'm enjoying this." So I put it up there for like $5, but I let people pay a little bit extra if they wanted to get like their name in the game or to get like an item made in the game with them. Which
that's
in
cool.
hindsight, I priced way too cheaply. It was $20 at first. So I actually still have a list that I need to go through and finish all of those. But I'm not going to forget about them. But yeah, so I started on Itch. The thing with developing for other platforms is like, in order to support all of those features, like none of them are like interdependent. Like you can't. Like what I did is I built like an achievement system into Black Ice, and then that achievement system can push to Steam where it's mirrored, right? Like you do have to include like extra plugins in order to interface with Steam.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so you built it to kind of work on any platform that was it the API connects to?
Well, that's the thing, but that's what I'm saying. There's not a single API, right? So I have to incorporate Steam's API, and if I ever got on the Epic store and they have achievements there, I'd have to, hook into their API. Well,
Gotcha.
I didn't realize that Steam achievements were so in depth. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about development myself. I thought that was just something I just kind of like attached on, and it's just like, yeah, just here's a list of stuff you want to, do, and it's like,
yeah, I mean they've got a suggested list of things that they want you to do. Like they say, like,
Oh, okay.
you really need to do trading cards because that actually like makes a difference in the sales that you're going to get on your game.
Right.
A surprisingly large difference actually. And yeah, like it's not super complicated to get achievements working, but like I was looking into workshop support for certain things, and not only do I have to build all of the hooks into the game to make the mods work for that, with to whatever extent that I want to do for my game, but on top of that, you can't just like have Steam let people upload things directly on Steam. You have to be able to do it from within the game or from within like a third party or like another program that you also put up on Steam to like validate the third party stuff, the mods. Like
Oh,
it was like a big headache. I was kind of surprised.
I thought Steam just handled all that. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I had this mental image of just opening up like the developer Steam webpage and it being like WYSIWYG, enter your achievement name, doodle-doodle, upload picture, katink, enter the flavor text, and then send when
Right.
this triggers,
Totally.
something like that.
That's what I was thinking.
Aw.
That is how it works on that end, but in order
Oh.
to actually trigger the achievement from within the game, you have to be able to tell Steam, okay, this is, hey Steam, I'm talking to you, I'm authorized for this user. This is the achievement that they just were.
Oh, and then that fires
Wow.
on Steam's side, and okay, so it's kind of half WYSIWYG, half get your elbows, roll your sleeves up to your elbows and get dirty kind of coding.
Totally. And I will say that like Steam is notorious among developers for having a rather antiquated backend. It has not been updated recently, at least not for most.
Oh, you cut off ever so slightly at the end there.
At least not for most things. I was going to say Itch.io has a much better backend because it's new.
Newer site, yeah. That's crazy.
And it's such a fun game, and it works so well.
It's so fun.
It's one of the few like early access style games that I was playing that didn't crash like multiple times when I'm trying to play it. And I tried everything I could to break it just to see if I could, throw it into
I
windowed
tried
mode,
too.
borderless mode, change the resolution, change my computer's resolution to kind of crash it a little bit, just tried to, see how solid it was, because if I could give any feedback I wanted to.
That's
I
exactly
tried
what I was trying to do.
everything and I could not break this damn game. It was awesome.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I really have spent a lot of time bulletproofing it, especially since so I have two branches on Steam. I have like the live version that everybody can get to, but for people that want to get the newest stuff sooner, I have a test branch. But anybody can access it. And I do patches, about every week onto the development branch. But I hadn't actually updated the live version since like August until this week.
So that's
just
what
was
the
like-
forums were saying. Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
That's why
I
people
just-
were like, "Is this game
Where's
dead?"
the
And it's like,
update? Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's
went
like,
to the
no,
forums,
it's not.
and the top one, it says he lives. I seriously thought you vanished forever, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. And now people who listen, now you know where he's at. There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
it's
funny.
the updated copy on Steam for on sale for the next 7
Or
days.
itch.io.
Or itch.io.
yeah,
That's funny.
it's. I didn't realize how many people just would not ever look at the Steam forums and see that I've been updating all the time, or like not come to the Discord. Like, there's a lot of people that just thought the game was not being worked on for so long.
Oh wow. Yeah,
Oh,
any
God,
game that
reminds
I
me.
I
accidentally
liked
jumped off
on
the
Steam.
Discord. Have to jump back on there.
Oh, it's all good if you
Oh,
don't
the
want.
Black Ice Discord.
I know it's hard to like. Everybody's in a million Discords, and it's like, which one am I in for right here? Like,
Yeah, it gets crazy.
But yeah, I try not to ping everybody unless it's something important, like a big patch or something. But yeah, no. Needless to say, my new plan is to patch the live version a lot more often.
Well,
Now,
what
go
previous
ahead.
to now? What kind of what
Cal,
was
scoot into your
the
microphone.
breakpoint? What? Sorry.
Scoot into your microphone.
Okay. Am I better?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Are we whispering now?
Yes.
Everyone
ASMR.
whisper. Yeah.
ASMR required. So what previous to now? I mean, you said you're gonna be updating it more often, but previous to now, what was like the breakpoint for when you updated the live version versus just throwing it out on the test one? Like, you just say, okay, like every 5 updates, okay, check, it's stable, cool, I'm gonna push that, or is it I'm gonna do all these little things, and then once I'm done with this big thing, then I'm gonna push that live, or what on your end, what denoted when you would update live versus just do the test one?
Oh yeah. So it was supposed to be just whenever I did something big and then had enough testing on it, that other people, like since I put it on the dev branch, people can actually go and test it for me, which is great. And it's super helpful, and I couldn't get the game done otherwise. Like the bulletproofing it's all because of them. But yeah, so I would try to get something big done, get a little bit of testing, and get it on there. But the problem is I would get too excited and be like, well, while they're testing that, I might as well add this other thing. And then it just kind of snowballed from there.
So there's still passion in this game development. There's still love and affection. That makes me happy. A lot of
Oh,
games that I've played have just disappeared. They say, oh, yeah, we're going to do 5 episodes. You get to 2 episodes in, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, well, real life happens. Bye, But to see a
Thanks
game
for the
that's
Kickstarter money. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, how long has this game been out? When did you release?
so I put it up on Itch.io about 5 years ago. It was in 2014 in, I think, June.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Happy
that
anniversary.
tracks. And then Steam was July.
July
Oh, it
Thank
is
you.
actually. Happy
Yep.
birthday month.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. I think Itch.io was maybe March, now that I'm thinking about it, and Steam
Oh.
was July, and I didn't remember because I was doing when I put it up on Itch.io, I also did Greenlight, which was a thing at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, back then it was hard to get onto Steam, and I was really proud that we got through eventually. But yeah, it's one of the great things about it being such a big game is, and also it being set in cyberspace, is that I'm not really constrained by any sort of like reality to things. So if I think of something really cool that maybe other people might go and like try to make a whole game around, I can just be like, I'll just make that like an item in Black Ice.
So
Yeah,
it's still early access after. Sorry, CR. It's still in early access. What are the plans? When are you going to like fully release it? Are you going to fully release it? Like what's that about, I guess?
Totally. I am, but I'm also like terrified of fully releasing it because then people will judge it on a whole different like scale of things. But yeah, the idea is I'm gonna make it so we've got quests mostly is what we're doing now. And then I also I've actually already started on a bounty system. It's not in the game yet, but in the back end I've started putting the code in. But the thing is, like, I feel like the core loop is good. I can always add more to it with more items and things. And actually making items is my favorite part. But on top of that, you need the outer loops to the game design, right? So you need the immediate, like, not just am I hacking this one thing, but like, what's my objective in this particular area?
Yep.
So that's where quests and bounties come in, or will come in. And then on an outer loop around that is I really want to encourage people to make a bunch of different types of characters and just really play around with all of the possibility space that the game has. Because a lot of games have trained people like you make one character, you play it through once, and you beat it. And that's not how I played Diablo 2, and that's not how I want people to play my game.
That's interesting. That's an interesting approach because a lot of people are going for that. Get 1,000 hours on your main character, make your canon character, that sort of thing.
Totally. And I get that. And there's a lot of games that work really well for that. But, my game is maybe closer to a roguelike in that way, that like roguelikes are run based. A lot of games are single character based, and somewhere in between those is my game where I want it to be character based.
I dig it. Sorry, CR, I cut you off like 3 times so far this
No,
podcast.
you're answering. You're asking all the right questions. Is there a difference between full, like, I know fully released game and early access are 2 separate things, but do you get put into a different category when you fully release, or is that just like a tag really that basically says that, hey, we're constantly updating, and then like full release is just like, hey, we're going to release like a patch every like 3 months or something.
Yeah, like a random DLC or something.
You'd be surprised, actually. There's kind of been an expectation that I've heard from some of my friends that have released their games fully lately, is that even if it's an indie game and there's barely anybody working on it and they release it, there's still a weird expectation from a lot of people that the game is just going to keep getting updates. And that's not really something that used to be there.
Yeah, like you get alpha versions of games and then beta versions, and then once it's released, you're like, well, okay, where's everything else? Like, but that's the game. But if people play it from the alpha, from the very beginning to when it gets released, they just keep expecting new things and all this. But then you want to focus on another game or big updates for the game a few months later. Like, but I
Totally.
get
Not
where
everybody
people get
can
weird.
be Epic.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah.
Right, and that's one thing I was going to say. Do you guys think that Epic has trained people in that manner? Because they do a big update every week.
I mean,
I
that's crazy, and apparently there are some employees working way too hard at
a
Epic.
lot of work
yeah.
issues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we talked about that a couple times on the cast.
I don't even think it's Epic though. That's the thing is like
Big
EA
game industries,
and
yeah.
Activision and things like that. Like it's time for the new map pack. It's for what is the Call of Duty whatever. You expect to get a new a new map pack every 3 months or something like that, and they've got to be fully fleshed out and things. So
Yeah. No
Epic's
bugs.
taking it to an extreme, but
Yep.
yeah, no, we've been trained like this for a while, I think.
Especially AAA
Yeah.
games. It's kind of it's rough.
Mhm. It's called games as a service in the industry.
Mhm.
And yeah, all the AAA games want to be the one game that you play forever, right? Like they're trying
It's
to be
ridiculous. Yeah.
they're trying to compete with like soccer, not other games.
Yeah. I want to be the sports of this whole genre. Like,
And they've succeeded. That's the weird thing is, Call of
to an
Duty
extent.
and
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah, especially with esports. Literally, they've turned it into soccer. You know.
They really have. The whole tournament style, it's all based off that. You got to get teams, a bad player, you get rid of. Like all this, it's the same exact thing as a sports team. It's pretty crazy. They still pack arenas. It's
Totally.
insane.
Well, but like not even just on the level of being an esport, but like on the level of this is my hobby. Like, you could be a guy that watches football or soccer or whatever, or
Yep.
all of those, or you can be somebody who plays League of Legends all the time.
Oh, yep.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's good. And then you eventually, once you play it forever, you want updates. You want all this stuff to make the game better because you want to play that game all the time.
I want to
That puts
see a
more
Black
pressure on
Ice
people.
tournament. I want to see the very first Black Ice tournament that happens, like the big, like large scale, like DreamHack Central Arena thing or whatever. I'm bringing a Vuvuzela and I'm blaming you, Garrett.
I would be
That
so
stupid joke in the game.
Just in the background. Oh no, that'd be funny.
Make it as a creature. You can hear it coming a mile away. What is that?
He's so strong. I need to practice before I go to that tournament.
And that would be bizarre. Like, oh, it's DreamHack, blah, 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 CSGO, and then we got Black Ice on the main. I'd be like, that's very cool, but where did that come from?
Oh, yeah, everybody would be so confused. Yeah, but I mean, I'm really focusing on the like making you feel powerful in this game and letting you progress, which is really antithetical to any sort of esports balance.
I love how at the beginning you start at 0 and you can't go up. You have to earn your way up to kind of prove that you're strong enough to fight those. I love that aspect of it. It's pretty cool.
I have a stupid question. A lot of companies have been doing this. Garrett, do you have any plans to make Black Ice a battle royale game?
You totally could too. It's ridiculous. You really could.
Maybe as an April Fool's joke at some point.
Just
I
like
might
one
be
day.
able to. Yeah, it would lag all to hell because the networking code is just super not set up for that. But like, I theoretically could just turn up the number of players that can join a game and just make it to where there's only one game and then just everybody
PvP,
has to join it.
That'd be cool.
God. That'd be
It'd be a fun little game. You just gotta go find the best gun.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
But yeah,
cool.
back to like releasing and things. It's I would love to be able to keep supporting the game after release, but like, if not enough people are playing it, it doesn't make sense for me to like spend my time doing that. Although, given that I still have a day job, like I can afford to do that where other games, and that's why I've been able to make the game for so long.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Totally. But like little indie games that don't have an ongoing revenue stream of any sort, like to expect more updates from them is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just
definitely.
pure passion.
That's the
It's
thing
like
as a consumer.
grinding. Yeah.
You could give me a whole list of developers. I couldn't tell you which one was struggling. I don't look at stats or anything like.
Yeah.
But I don't demand things from them. But at the same time, if you were like, which one of these is, the struggling developer, and which one who you should leave alone, and I'd be like, I have no idea. I haven't the slightest.
Oh yeah, totally. And I feel like a lot of that is because people focus on their branding in like a company way now, even if they're just indie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you almost have to kind of be everything so like big letters, look at me, red arrows, like, and then it gets someone's
Clickbait.
attention for 20 seconds and they go click on you, and then that's another person in that area, and then everyone else that doesn't do that, they don't get the same draw with the attention spans and everything.
Yeah, totally. But like that's why I've started like putting in the game like, hey, this is actually made by just like one dude and he's got some
Yes.
help from some other people. Like
That's awesome.
to be fair, my friend Nonadecimal works on it, almost as much as I do. But yeah, that's why I put that calendar picture into the game as the splash screen now.
Yeah, I booted it up yesterday and I was like, oh, that's new.
Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
really want people to know like, hey, it's it's mostly just me. And if they want to subscribe to the Patreon, that's great.
There you go.
Like I'd love to be able to, just run the game on Patreon and just give free updates to everybody at some point. Like that would be
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Like, just while we have a moment, you can shout out a couple links if you like on where they can find
Everything.
you and everything. Yeah, I mean, we'll do it at
we
the
can
end.
put them in the description.
Yeah, I mean, we'll
Okay.
put them everywhere, but
Sure.
hearing them vocally, people can,
Yep.
because this is an audio cast.
Yeah, totally. Well, so I go by Super Duper Garrett Cooper, and the short version of that is Super Duper GC. So superdupergc.com is my website that goes to the Black Ice website, and it'll have links to all those other things, but also, Patreon Super Duper GC, Twitter Super Duper GC.
Oh.
And if you just
Oh.
Google Black Ice game, you'll find it for sure.
Wait, what happened?
That's
Very
how I
fun
found it
game,
this morning.
everyone. Fun alone, fun with friends. It's a very fun game.
Yeah, but regular
Yeah.
Black Ice is not fun, so don't do that.
No, that is horrible. But
Yeah, please drive safe, everyone.
yeah.
How many times
That's
has
so
somebody
great.
made that joke to you? I'm genuinely curious now.
I don't get that one.
You are the first.
The joke I get the most is, "Hey, I found some bugs in your game," because they're all spiders.
Oh
Oh,
god.
that
All
is
right,
fun.
roll credits, everybody.
Wow.
Episode is over.
That's awesome.
No, that's terrifying. That's what that is.
It is terrifying because some of them fly at you and it freaks me out.
Oh, man.
I
Those
mean,
ones are the-
yeah. Well, one of the reasons that I've got all those bugs is because, for one, that you need to shoot them, right? As soon.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
But on top of that, also, like, I actually do get night terrors sometimes, and when I do, it's almost always some sort of.
Bug. Oh,
Oof.
that's cool. You kind of just put it in your game then, like you design it off that.
Yeah, it's kind of cathartic for me to be able to
Yeah.
just shoot a bunch of them.
Yeah. Shoot them all. Kill all the spiders.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I can actually defend myself. That's good. Instead of just being
It's
frozen
awesome.
in fear and half asleep.
That's actually a good question. What did inspire Black Ice? Where did it come from? I mean, I'm assuming there's at least some. You've seen Tron at least once.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love I love the visuals of Tron, the original as much as the new one, which is
Same.
gorgeous.
Favorite
Yeah,
movies.
it's so good.
So yeah, but like other than the visuals, also like when I started working on this game, it was 2013, and I had just I'd been laid off and I had to move across country, and so I didn't have any friends when I was living in California, and my friend suggested that I make a game in Unity or just play around with it, and so I started messing around in there. Also, similarly around that time, Diablo 3 had come out, and having been a huge Diablo 2 fan, I was a little disappointed in the initial release of
Oh yeah,
Diablo 2.
tell me about it. I was
Oh,
right
yeah.
there with you, man. Oh, I still
I
stuck with
think-
it, but
Totally. We played way too much of it, but like, that game has become a really fun game in its own right, but it's not
Mhm.
the same,
right.
So, I was a little disappointed in that. And so when I started making my own game, I was also at the time, because there were no friends there, I really was trying to I played a lot of board games in Austin, and I loved Netrunner. And I was
Oh, okay.
yeah, that
So-
game's fantastic. But my wife got tired of playing it with me. So she was the only one that I could play with. So I couldn't play Netrunner. I couldn't really play Diablo the way that I wanted to play. And I had a whole bunch of free time on my hands. So that all kind of mixed together into, well, I'll just mess around in Unity and follow this tutorial. And so I made this little 15 tile sliding puzzle from this tutorial I found on YouTube. And then I realized, like, oh, Unity's got all these like assets that you can import for free that just come with Unity. And one of them was first person character controller. And so I was like, oh, cool. So I dropped that into my scene and hit play. And all of a sudden, I'm using WASD and the mouse, and I'm looking around standing on top of this puzzle that I had just made.
And that's where it came from?
And I actually, the same, Unity project, I just built out from there. The puzzle's still there. You can find.
Oh, now I'm gonna
Alright,
look
well,
for
there's
it.
the
Oh no!
That's cool.
Yeah, so it
That's
just
really cool.
thank you. Yeah,
Nostalgia.
the art style came out of what sort of art style can I pull off as really mostly a programmer that I feel like I have an eye for color, but I'm not an artist by any stretch of the imagination.
That's
I don't know, man.
totally
This thing
get
is pretty
that.
much art.
It's definitely really cool, especially how they move and like the lines and everything. It's so clean. It's so clean. It looks nice.
The one thing that
you.
really drew me to this is I have a weird way. I have a struggle calling myself an artist. I have a coloring book, for Christ's sake, but I'm about the abstract style, and I love neon type colors and this and that. And like when I see these like at the booth, I was like, oh, look at these like weird abstract creature looking things. Like didn't look like anything I've ever really seen before, and that's what really drew me in. And some were yellow, some were red and blue, and I thought that was really cool because, again, we talked about like Tron. The Tron movies are some of my absolute favorite movies, especially the older one. Like it looks stupidly cheesy, but I absolutely love it. And then with the newer one, and so when I saw that, I was just like, whoa, my brain kind of like exploded a little bit.
Thank you. And of course, you can get the throwing disc in my game too.
I love that.
Yes.
I love it.
My God. All right. Well,
It's one of the first things I got, and I was just whooping. Bah, 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 bah.
I
Awesome.
gotta admit, my favorite weapon is that close range, that shotgun style. Where
Shotgun. Oh,
you get right up into that spider's face or that
Yes!
scorpion's face. and
the scorpion. Dang, I hate that guy.
Oh,
It's
Yeah.
cathartic. You get in there and you
yes.
kill these things that scare the shit
It's
out of you
so
in real
awesome.
life. but-
Yeah, just
so I hadn't played Black Ice basically for, let's see, it's probably been a couple months. I've been waiting for the updates to kind of come through because I played it when I got back from PAX. I was like, this is a really cool game. I'm gonna wait for him to update it because when we chat with you at PAX, you're like, oh yeah, we're doing updates, this and that. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just sit on it. And yesterday I think it was yesterday, or I've lost my sense of time.
What year is it?
You were streaming on Steam.
Thousands and thousands of years ago. Yeah.
Could have been. But yeah, I was watching you play. I think it was yesterday, and you're like, oh yeah, there's this enemy that like shrinks the circle, and I was like, I don't remember seeing that in the game, so I got in yesterday, and that little bastard, I was like, where's my circle? I kept falling out. I was like, this circle is so tiny. There was like 6 of them. What's happening?
Oh no.
Yeah, it's actually not an enemy that does that. It's like one of the servers has a security type on it, and that gets randomized every time you play, right? So all the servers will have different types of additional security, like a shrinking circle or a circle that moves, or
that's cool.
enemies that drop.
Oh, cut off.
We haven't got there yet, Bearded.
Yeah, because again, when I played, the servers were basically just one set. They was just you hack into it, enemies come out, this and that. And since then, I think you've expanded even on the world a good bit. Like I saw some like lava
it was
areas.
huge.
Yeah, it looks really cool, especially when you get up somewhere high and like you're looking down, it's like a little valley area, and it's just like nothing but like a rainbow.
Oh god, we didn't get that far. Oh
It's-
jeez.
Wow. Well,
Cody and I playing, I know we lost each other a few times. We're just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
It was a
blind,
small
I
area.
can't see.
I think one of my favorite things to do in games that are just kind of like explore and whatnot is try to get into the places where I'm not supposed to be.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
climbing,
Yep.
the climbing
I
games,
love
the
it.
jumping puzzles, things like that. And I think I don't remember. I think it was Black Ice where I found something like perched on the top of something else, and it took me like half an hour to get up there, and then I got up there, and it was that did you have that in there, or am I thinking of something else?
Yeah, no, totally. There's
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah.
yeah, there was like a thing that you could kind of spiral jump your way up. And those were fun at first, but now what I've moved towards is just basically anywhere that's up really high, that's kind of hard to get to. I try to put something up there to be like, look, you don't have to go up here, but if you do,
Yeah. You earned
Congratulations.
something good. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think.
I love it.
So last time I played, like, I just again, it's probably right after PAX. I think all we had was, I'm gonna try to remember this best I can. It was basically just one big old area. There it was pretty big, and then there was like a tower. And that was like the end game, I think. And anyway, there was like this.
Yes.
The enemies were like patrolling around the outside, and they would completely destroy me. And now, like, as soon as I got to a point where I could actually kill them, that felt super satisfying. I was just like, yeah, because you grind and you make your way up, kind of thing. And yeah, that was really cool.
yeah,
Play the
totally.
rocket game.
And that's why I don't like auto scale the difficulty of the game, even though games like Destiny do that so that you like can go anywhere in the world. But it makes it less satisfying to be able to like go back to a place that you've been before and just absolutely
Yes.
crush.
You gotta earn it. You gotta earn your way to
Exactly.
that tough spot.
Mm-hmm.
You earn your
Kinda
win,
Dark
and
Souls-y,
it feels
yeah.
fantastic. I don't know. Did we just say that Black Ice is the Dark Souls of
It's
cyberpunk gaming?
Basically
Did we
the
just say it?
Cyberpunk
Okay.
Dark Souls.
There you go. Tron meets Dark Souls. You got a new tagline.
Gotta earn your way.
Oh my god, I wouldn't say that, but they did. So
It's
Watch
awesome.
out, From Software. Coming right at you. so yeah, okay, so you are a single developer with a little bit of side help, and then you self-published as well.
yeah, it's just been me running everything. I I have a little bit of help making the trailers and things, but I run the Steam page, I do all the customer support, I do all the bug reports and things. I run the community on the Discord. Yeah.
Yeah, so next
You-
time you're on
you're
the
amazing.
forums and you're like, Garrett, where's my update? You'd be like, listen, dude, I'll clip this audio for you. I'll give you the file, and then you just post it every time.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yep. It's me. I mean, yeah, a lot of people just, they'll say like the devs or whatever, and it's like,
Mhm.
no, it's not really
No,
devs.
they're
it's just devs.
dev. Yeah.
Singular, not plural.
Well, that's like the Stardew Valley kind of thing. It's a fun game, and it's one guy, and it takes him months to come up with an update. It's like, so when people look at this game and they're like, well, come on, updates. Well, it's one guy. Takes time to try and make
And
it
when
good,
it's-
no bugs.
When
Mhm.
it's good enough that you're willing to wait, though, I mean
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
the other effect of the Stardew
Right.
Valley syndrome. Yeah, the updates take a while to get out, but fuck, it's
You're
awesome
immediately
when it
there
is.
playing it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the game is good even while you're waiting for the update. So it's not like you're out of things to do.
Yes, exactly. You can always
Make a new
play it
character.
again. Yeah.
Have you ever?
Yeah.
Have you ever got the
And I-
argument? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I love replayability in games, and
Yes,
like I
that's
said
us.
with Diablo 2, that's what I loved about it was all the different ways to make your character.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you can't respec your character. You do need to go through and try different things out.
Definitely. I'm all about I absolutely like. We keep talking about Diablo. Favorite series or one of them. And I totally get the Diablo feel when I play. What I was gonna ask is, do you ever get the complaint where it's like, oh, this game looks really simple. Why is it taking so long for updates? Because it's you got black buildings, you got your colored outlines. It's all still code that needs to be put in. I mean, I'm just trying to make people understand a little bit. I feel so bad.
I haven't had too much about that. I think anybody that plays it seriously knows that there's actually a lot of complexity to it,
Right.
especially with the items and all of everything built in. Yeah, there are certain things where they're just like, why don't you just also make it procedural on top of everything else? It's like,
Have you tried messing with procedurally generated stuff?
well, it actually was originally procedurally generated.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I had the world all built out, and as you walked, it would generate even more of that, which of course lagged a little bit, even though it was really simple. But the problem with that is actually the enemy pathfinding.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. They get like hooked and stuck.
Right. Like in order to have the enemies be able to understand where to go, you have to like lay out a whole different data structure on top of everything. And that usually has to scan offline in order to do that. But if you do it at runtime, that lags even more. And there's only so much you can do in that. How do I explain this? It can only be so complicated. Like when the world was
Right.
procedural, there were no bridges, there were no overhangs. It was all just essentially a 2D. It's like Doom. It was really like 2.5D, really.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, there's too much stuff to process at a, small amount of time, and there's too much going on. No, yeah, I totally get that.
Totally.
I
And of course,
definitely prefer this then.
Yeah,
Same.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, and I love procedurally generated games. I would absolutely love to make a full 3D procedurally, like real procedural generation, not just like a bunch of rooms that have been pre-built being put together. But yeah, I don't think any other game has really done a real 3D full procedural first-person shooter specifically. So it was hubris on my part to.
So I'm.
There's the challenge. There's the challenge. It's been thrown. The gauntlet.
Please, somebody do it. I would love to. And if you think there's another game that has done this, I bet you they've taken some.
Yeah, my train of thought just went off the rails. Whoops.
Yeah, you had something there.
No, yeah, so I've been on the store page and forums and stuff as we've been chatting, and after I just talked about the procedurally generated stuff in the forums, the fourth post down is asking about it, and I'm just like, gosh dang it, like I'm using this almost as like a material for questions. Hey, if you want, this is we're doing a pseudo live customer support. No.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's
Call in with your questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, and I get the why isn't this game in VR question a whole lot.
Do you have any plans on maybe making it VR in the future?
Probably a lot of code.
So that's the gist of it. I actually bought an Oculus dev kit before they came out and was like, all right, I'm going to try it out. Let's see how it goes. And while it was terrifying to have the spiders running up to you
I can imagine.
It's like, oh god, my personal space. Oh no, spiders.
Yeah.
While that was great, because there's so much movement in the game in the first place, to do that in VR requires so much, like, it doesn't work. It makes people so sick.
Yeah.
And if you've played any of the like substantial VR games that are shooter type games, they do teleportation if they do movement at all. Some of them do little dashes, but personally that makes me sick. And most of them, like you're basically building a completely different game. It's essentially it's like a whole nother platform to develop for. It's like phone games when they first came out weren't great, but once we figured out how to do swipes and things, it became much better.
Right. That totally makes sense. I haven't tried VR out yet. A buddy of mine invited me to go play some Beat Saber. Just haven't gotten
I want to go too.
You should.
Yeah. I just got an Oculus Quest, and that thing doesn't even have any wires on it, and it's phenomenal.
No way.
We were talking about that actually. The other crafter that joins us on our crafting stream, he's just absolutely in love with that. Like ZBrush, I think, is the program that he really wants to get for the 3D model creation, things like that. It looks amazing, but like you said, the whole motion sickness thing would really turn a lot of people off. Because the one thing that we haven't been able to beat right now is that eye versus motion sort of thing. And
Totally.
with Black Ice, because you have to stay in the circles and da da da, I mean, it kind of makes sense that you'd, map out your room and be able to move through that, but you're still going to have, okay, how do I go from server to server if I can't just walk there? And teleporting is so slow and it's so unsatisfying, especially in such a fast-paced action game.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, Black Ice, like Doom 2016, the FPS layer is very movement focused. It's about ledge grabbing, it's about jumping around, it's about teleporting, and that just doesn't translate.
Definitely. Sorry, I'm just browsing the store page. I'm just looking at updates and such. Cause like I'm to the point where I'm like, man, now I just want to play this for the rest of the night. I don't know. I just
Yeah, that's all that.
Cancel your plans, ladies and gentlemen.
Getting ready to throw it up.
Joke's on you. I didn't even have any plans.
So is this game your primary focus, or are you side working on another one, or?
Well, I mean, like I said, I have a day job, so this is my primary focus.
Oh, okay. That's good. It
Now,
definitely shows. I mean,
do you have any other, like, if Black Ice were to be quote unquote finished, which I don't think you ever actually reach like a finished state with your baby, the thing that you focus on for so long. But
Oh yeah,
if you were to start another, if you had another project, if you were to make another game, do you have ideas for something like that? Would you stay in the same vein as Black Ice? I mean,
Um,
if time wasn't enough, if time and money weren't restrictions.
that is never ever going to be a thing. But well, first off, you're absolutely right. The saying in games is you never finish a game, you just release it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's always so much more that you either want to add or you could fix or you could tweak, you could make something a tiny bit better here and there, and you just have to at some point just say like, it's good enough, I'm just going to leave that and keep going. And in fact, the other saying is, when you're prototyping something, don't make it you have to make it look really shitty, or people will just leave it in there as final if you want to improve on it later.
Oof.
oh wow.
Yeah, especially when working with a big team. But of course, I have a million game ideas that I've written down. I've got a Trello board with dozens and dozens of cards of different games that I want to make. However, I think it wouldn't make sense for me to make a game that is so different than what I've already made. So yeah, because in order to make my next game faster, what I would probably do is leverage as much content from Black Ice as I can.
yeah,
right?
you almost have to.
All right, Black Ice 2 coming 2021.
Yeah, like Black Ice 2 or Black Ice Arena PvP or
Black Ice
Battle
Battle Royale.
Black Ice Battle Royale. Yeah.
Exactly.
Black Ice top-down action RPG, something.
Oh.
Black Ice, the
Ooh.
point-and-click adventure game. I'm down.
Black Ice the visual novel.
Yeah.
Can we get a movie while we're at it?
Yeah. I mean, it
TV
plays
show,
great
just
with the
sell it to
colors.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
actually get
Some-
Jeff Bridges to be in it?
Oh my god, yeah. Somebody get me Taika Waititi and we'll get that.
Oh man, he's amazing. God, that's
That would
hilarious.
That'd be awesome. How long have you been developing?
So, like I started in about 2013.
Oh,
And I started, I started it maybe in the summer, and I was putting up builds on Reddit and like Game Jolt by the fall, and then I started selling it in the spring.
so this
Damn.
is your first big project.
Yeah, my only
Wow.
game I've ever sold.
That is awesome. That's incredible.
So what do you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but what do you do as a day job? Does it blend into this? Does it support this as far as your
He's also a
focus and
mailman.
your skills, or he's
Sorry.
also
I don't know.
Oh,
As you
no,
go ahead.
There's some overlap. I'm like a hardware test engineer at a big company that you've heard of before.
Okay.
Yeah, So I do a lot of debugging, and it actually it overlaps pretty well with the game. And of course in college they taught me how to program, so that helped.
So when you have a really bad day at work and you just can't get this bug figured out, you jump into black ice, blow some spiders and scorpions and shit away, and then you feel better, or is it just like,
I have a stupid joke.
oh
I mean,
no.
sometimes. Oh no, go for it. What's your joke?
Go for the jokes.
Well, you said you debug a lot of stuff. So does that mean you take their bugs and put them in?
Literally.
Yikes!
Literally
All right, let's
debug
continue.
them.
No, I would definitely get sued if I took anything from there.
yeah,
and
don't
took it
do that.
No, but like
NDAs.
Oof.
it's nice to like because sometimes there like you don't get as much of a creative outlet, right? And so to be able to do it here is really nice.
Yep.
Mhm. Oops, sorry.
I had another thought and I dropped it again. I'm so
Your
bad.
brain's
at that.
gone.
You
It's
blew
always
it away
gone.
like a spider on a level 1 server. Just
Well,
on
I'm watching these gifs that we put in, or I put into Discord,
Yeah.
and it's
Oh
so
my gosh.
mesmerizing.
So that bottom one, let me tell you a little bit about why that's so interesting. It's so for those of you listening, it's a shotgun killing like 5 enemies at once.
Hold on. That's insane. Sorry.
You kind of can't see them there. They're in an array.
Yeah.
So to be fair, that's a pulse shotgun that is shooting out 4-shot burst there. But the reason that that's interesting. So I looked at the original Doom for a lot of inspiration for the game. So for instance, the aimbot enemies, the way that they shoot the orbs at you that you have to dodge, that's basically a Doom thing. But of course, my aimbots shoot a lot more orbs, and they can jump around and find sniper positions and cover and things, which is new, by the way.
It's
But
hard to get them sometimes. They get up somewhere where they shoot an orb, you can't see them.
totally. But the thing is, I was looking at it and I couldn't figure out why in Doom their super shotgun feels, or maybe Doom 2, the super shotgun feels so good in comparison to my shotguns. And I was like, well, what is it that they're doing there? And I figured out that because it's so simple, when you kill an enemy in Doom, they essentially just become transparent to bullets. And so one shotgun blast, like if you kill somebody with the first 2 bullets, right? The bullets don't necessarily pierce through them, but they do let the other shots from the burst go and hit the people behind them.
Yes.
Oh,
Does that make
penetrating
sense?
shots. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was discussing this with some of my friends. Do y'all know about Dusk? This is my friend David that made Dusk that was telling me about this.
I've heard of Dusk.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. By the way, it is a old school retro FPS with a campaign, and it's very it's got a lot of like horror elements in terms of you're fighting dudes with chainsaws and like he loves
yeah.
horror movies. It's not like a scary game so much as that, but yeah. But anyway, he was telling me that yeah, like in Doom they go transparent to bullets and it works really well. And I realized that I had that early on in my game where the enemies essentially just disappeared as soon as you killed them. But I added a thing later on where if you kill an enemy with a big enough hit, they just essentially just jib and they're gone, right? But if you just shoot them normally, their bodies kind of like fall away and disintegrate.
Yes.
And they were still blocking bullets while they did that, while they kind of ragdolled around, right?
Oh my god, I wondered.
But then I changed that to where they can, in this latest build, they when they ragdoll around, they're transparent to bullets, so you can still like
shoot right through.
Now with a shotgun, you can shoot right through a whole bunch.
Yeah, yeah. That is cool because like you get a couple behind a guy and you're hitting him with like a 3-round burst or something, and then say he's tougher, so it takes a couple, and then the first bullet of that 3-round burst gets him gone, but then there's someone behind him, you get 2 more on that guy. It's really cool.
Exactly.
Like I said, that's where you get that satisfaction, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's such a tiny thing, but yeah, it really helps.
I think the satisfaction for me in this whole thing is just when things explode, it's very colorful. Like
it's so cool.
Out of these 2 little gifts here, the top one's my favorite, 100%. Like it's just
dude, the colors on it are insane. That's the bouncy ball. I remember that
Yeah,
one.
the bouncy.
Yeah, Bearded just got that.
I know. I was using it for a flare trying to find Cody.
Yeah, and making it look like a gumball machine was specifically like, okay.
That's what I was like.
It-
That looks like something I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then they kind of blow up like fireworks. It's like
Mhm.
it's really cool looking.
It's just satisfying on all levels. The
Yes.
sound, the action, the penetrating bullets, the special effects. It's just a satisfying game.
It really is. The colors are so good.
Thank you.
Except for
Yeah.
that blink. Ugh, that killed me when I first tried it.
I haven't got that far yet. I haven't touched a blink yet, but can't imagine.
Yeah, that's one of the new things that I did too, is that the items now drop at certain levels instead of just
Yes, I can
the whole
tell.
drop table being available. Yeah.
Like when you go from 1 to 2, that the levels, and then you get that with the drop box or whatever, where you can the mystery box, and you right click and you can choose out of it, which is cool.
Mhm. Yeah, the choice cube. I wanted to call those
Choice cube.
I wanted to call those loot cubes or loot boxes, but I figured
Choice
I
made
better
sense.
not.
Yeah, don't do that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, they got loot boxes. Oh no, but they're free. They're free. You can get all the loot boxes.
Right. And because you only get to choose 1 out of 3 instead of getting all of them, that's like a
It's
whole different
so
thing.
yes. It's
Mhm.
you really got to think about it. It's pretty cool.
One thing that I just realized watching these gifts, because I'm just sitting here with my hands in my
That's
hoodie
what I'm doing.
pockets, just staring at them. I never realized before that the walls on the buildings actually reflected the lights as they exploded and things like that. It's not a detail I noticed before, but it
Oh,
works
wow.
so well. I never, yeah, that's
Oh,
cool.
thank you. Yeah, that's the particles actually get lights put onto them at a low rate. So that's why, yeah, that's a new thing.
yeah.
It's
That
so
I
much
just
fun.
noticed that in that top GIF. The
And the
colors are
bottom one,
so
as you're
cool.
firing it off, it just.
God.
This is ASMR for your eyes.
Yeah, it really is. Yes.
Yeah. It's a really good thing that we have an audio
it's
podcast,
ISMR.
everybody.
Right.
It's
Oh yeah, we should probably link those or something.
ISMR.
Just Google Black Ice game gifs, and
Or-
you'll never leave.
You know how to see these gifts? You can go into Steam, you can go to Black Ice Store,
That's
and buy the game, and those gifts are inside the game. You just gotta go
They're
find
in
them.
your eyes the entire time.
you can actually get into those gifts and do this yourself for the low
Yeah.
price of
In
25%
fact,
off.
that is actually you in the future. There you go.
Yeah.
He's also a wizard. We didn't tell you that, did we?
We
Code
predict.
wizard.
You've
Oh my
got the
gosh.
game.
So the speaking of wizards, I have a thing to talk about after that. But
Go
the way that the when the enemies die and they do drop all that confetti, that was because I played Hotline Miami and I loved
That's a good
how
one.
when you kill somebody, the blood is just everywhere and it's
Yes.
the rest of the level.
That's what it felt like. That's so cool. I was thinking
Oh.
that earlier. That's exactly the game I was thinking of earlier.
Awesome. Yeah, that was the direct inspiration for making that, the permanence of just saying like, ah, yes, I did this.
Yes. Yeah. Feels good.
So, you said Hotline Miami. Immediately made me think of music. Did you compose the music, or did you have somebody else?
No. Yeah, I had a guy named V Axis, who's a German composer that actually made the music for my game.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, it's all original music, and for people that don't know, like it has 2 different levels where when you're fighting, when you're just running around in the level, it's kind of chill music, but when you start a hack, it amps up and gets kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So back to the wizard thing. One of
Yeah.
the new one of the new item types that I introduced is basically just magic missiles.
Magic missile. Sorry, go ahead. That's a
Magic.
running joke with us. So.
Did you get that too?
Oh, is the name of the? Are you talking about like the name of your items? Like
Yeah,
magic
they're
missile?
called seekers in the game. Yeah.
I think I did. It's been a minute, but I think when I first saw it, yeah, that was my first thought.
Yeah, I mean the idea was like, okay, so you have these guns and you're switching back and forth between guns, but like what if you had other abilities that were on cooldowns so that they feel more like magic, but you have like it's not just like a single cooldown, you may have like 4 charges of it, and the charges have all the different they stack up the less you use it, but then you can dump them all at once to do a whole bunch of damage. Yeah, so I have charge mechanic on those, and you don't have to switch from your gun. So you could actually build a character with a whole bunch of those seekers on all of his buttons, and then just alternate the
You just
cooldowns.
tap them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then not even have a gun, maybe.
Oh my
So is
god, that
that-
sounds so cool!
Is that? I'm guessing farther in the game, or have you put it in there yet?
Yeah, no, that's in. You might have to be those probably drop around starting level 10 or 15.
Okay. Yeah, we're right around there. Me and Beardo are right around there.
Oh my
I think
god,
my
I need this in my life.
I think my
Yeah.
build. Now, mind you, this was a while back. I'm gonna make a new character probably tonight. I think one of my buttons was I summon this like big tanky bug guy. I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really
Those
bad
are
with
called
names.
Ghost and the Shellfish.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's
Oh
exactly
my
Tanky guys.
God.
Yeah.
Man, they're insane.
And
Yeah,
and
because
then
they're
the rest
crabs.
of the rest of my buttons, I had those. They're the items that take up RAM, but like they increase your overall stats of your gun. I am so bad at this right now. Anyway, they're not actually usable. It's more like they're like upgrades that use your.
There's like a
your
gray
RAM.
hat and stuff like that that add like +5 damage or something.
Yeah.
The
and
mods, yeah, passive.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, mods. Yep.
I like those more than anything because while I play that, like using items and abilities is really cool. But like I just like the raw power upgrades.
Yes, you pick
think that's
one or
neat.
two
Totally.
really good guns that you like, and then the upgrades just help them.
Hmm.
Totally. Yeah, and there's actually a new type of those that focuses one specific stat. So if you're going for like loot find, for instance, you can just stack up on a whole bunch of loot find mods on top of.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I need
play
to.
tonight.
I need to do. Yeah, I want to play again. It's so fun.
I want the loot finder hat. I want one that's like the Indiana Jones fedora, and one that's I can run around and. Oh my god, this belongs in a museum.
Oh my.
Speaking of hats and stuff, so we've seen the different enemies and stuff, but how did you come up with the what am I thinking?
Like the
Character model of the actual player.
the character. Yeah.
Because me and Cody saw each other, we're like,
Yeah,
what?
we're like, whoa, this is not what we were expecting.
So that's a placeholder.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. It's a pill, y'all, is what it looks
Yes,
like.
that's
It's-
exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, it's the Unity default like capsule collider. That's actually like the best like physical thing for first person shooters in order for you to like, not get stuck on ledges and things. That's why it's rounded the way it is, but it's still vaguely human shaped,
Oh wow,
Hmm.
it's crazy.
Yeah, and of
Gotta
course
look
I
at
had
the
to
small details.
slip a Matrix joke in there, and so the pills can be either red or blue
Ah.
randomly.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, bearded was red.
I like the little happy
But-
face that's on it though. It's cute.
Yes.
Yeah, that was just because people couldn't tell what direction you were facing, so I had to add something.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
But yeah, the you can change your color in multiplayer for that. But yeah, I do
Oh, cool.
actually have a character model
Oh, I didn't even know
for Mako the protagonist. But
Mhm.
I haven't actually put it in the game yet because I need to redo some of her animations, and I'm not really an animator by myself.
that. Yeah, I can imagine.
Can
Takes
we
a
ask
lot.
how realistic it like is it? You're obviously not going to go like super hyper realistic with it, right? Or are you?
No, she's pretty low poly. In fact, initially she was too high poly, and we had to like get down a little bit on that. Let me see if I can find one of
I think I saw something in the artwork tab, or is it?
Yeah, that was there. There's one on there, but that was actually the higher poly version.
Yeah, I'll let's see. Copy.
Even though it's in the 1990, which have
See,
y'all
now
seen
everybody's
those
going to the page.
those visual modes that you can add?
Oh,
Mhm.
So if you go into the options, there's CRT mode, which gives the world kind of
Yes,
a
I love
bend,
that.
and yeah, and they're just for fun, but yeah, they're ridiculous. So there's one that makes it look like a Game Boy, one that makes it look like an old 320 by 240 with very few colors screen, and one that makes it look like a CRT.
I'm gonna have to mess with that. That's gonna be fun.
Mhm.
Now, is the one I posted in the links? Is that what you're?
Yeah,
talking
that's in
about?
the 1990 mode, and that's the
Gotcha.
higher poly version of the character. You can see how it's kind of smooth.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah, audio listeners. Yeah, it's gonna be a rough day.
from
I
the
know.
hair and everything. Yeah.
Unless
Well, look 'em
CR
up.
does his YouTube magic and throws the
Oh
picture
yeah,
up.
just throw up the
You know, like
picture
you
at
did
this
with the other
point.
one.
Man, I might.
I mean, it plays perfect.
Yeah. So this is temporary, but this is kind of what I was gonna go for. I put it in the chat. Kind of
Oh
a
yeah.
gem sort of look
Okay.
to it.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it
way
looks-
more
love
fitting.
that.
It looks like diamondy. It's kind of cool.
All right,
Oh
everyone
my
stop
God, I
posting
cannot
stuff. I don't
wait
want
to
to
see that.
edit too much. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding,
that's
I'm kidding.
that's really cool. Yeah, that's really cool. Just take a still picture of it. It looks cool.
Or you
I'll
could
put
go
it
buy
in.
the game, and then when it's updated, you can see it yourself.
Exactly.
There you go. Holy moly.
Itch.io. Black eyes.
You wanna see what we're talking about on an audio podcast? How about you walk through our paywall here? No. No. Yeah, I've been meaning to change up our layout because I actually do want to start making a little window for our Discord, so when we do link stuff, we don't have to be like, "Hey, audio listeners, by the way," and we're like, "Oh, that's so cool looking. Oh, I wish everybody could see that." And then,
Yeah.
it's all a work in progress. We're getting there.
Nothing's ever truly finished.
No, especially with me. No way.
Oh god, no.
I change
Boy,
stuff
do I.
constantly.
Let me just say, I understand that.
Yeah, I can't imagine with
Well-
your game. That's got to be crazy.
So this is okay. So this is your biggest and only big development project. So you've had no experience prior to this. You just kind of jumped into Unity bare bones, or
So I used to let me phrase it this way. When I learned programming, it was because I was in algebra class. Everybody had graphing calculators. Everybody had a TI-83, but I had a TI-86. So they had all these really cool games on them, but but I couldn't play any of those games because they were all for TI-83. So they were like sharing games back and forth, and I had to download the source code for those games and punch it in manually.
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
But
check out all
in
these
doing
games, and you're
that-
like, I'm gonna make my own.
Totally. So yeah, and so I just started like playing around with that, and that's when I got my start. But I tried to make a little game in college. It didn't really go anywhere. It's kind of like Pokemon. But I didn't sell it or anything. Never really showed it to many people. And then with this, people liked it. I think just because I put it on the internet and people said like, you should keep working on this. I want to see more of it. That's kind of what got me to keep.
That's really cool.
never underestimate the power of positive reinforcement.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and it's just I'm just susceptible to external influence.
Peer pressure.
Well, I mean, it's
Yikes.
it's
No.
important for people.
Especially negative.
It's important for people that if you do enjoy something, you've got to say something, leave a positive review,
Yeah.
tell people about it, things like that. So when CR messaged me and said that he had booked you for the podcast or whatever, I just kind of went, "What? Oh my god!"
I
so-
know the way that it happened. So I want to give Garrett some context here. So okay, this was maybe on episode 4, 5 maybe, and we were talking about the packs and the conventions and how much they cost, and we were throwing out huge numbers. We were totally wrong, by the way, everybody. Good job.
Great.
And we made a joke, and I've been making a couple jokes within the past couple episodes as well, like because we had talked to Garrett at PAX South, and we were jokingly, especially me, well, Gelf knew him a lot more than I did. I only talked to the guy once, and I was like, yeah, we'll just pull up our buddy, Garrett Cooper, and we'll ask him blah blah blah. And it's one of those things that it's kind of weird because I'll be asking like a stranger, like, hey, how much do you pay on this blah blah. But I was like, I'm so curious, I just want to know. And we're just chatting, and he's explaining all this stuff, and then he's just like, "Hey, yeah, if you want me on your show," and I was just like, "Okay." And I'm sitting at a pool, with my daughter, my feet are in the water. I'm sitting on my phone, and I'm just like, "Holy crap! I just got Garrett Cooper come on the podcast. That's okay." Wasn't expecting that. not that you probably didn't want to be here, but I figured that you were so busy that was like the last thing I had expected.
I mean, it never hurts to ask, right? But
Right,
yeah,
that's
I
very
mean,
true.
usually I am busy, and if you'd asked me like before I put the patch up, that would have been one thing. But now that the
Right.
big patch is up and like RTX is next weekend, and I'm pretty much ready for that, like, no, it's a great time. And again, like I said, I'm trying to humanize the game a bit more
No, I gotcha.
instead of it being just like a faceless thing. So it helps to be on podcasts for sure.
Kind of silly that you say that because your game is
Yeah.
literally all in cyberspace.
I mean, that's one of the reasons I need to humanize it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's good.
We are not inside the Matrix.
Yeah. And,
Or
and
are
I
we?
knew y'all would be cool.
Yeah. Or,
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a
it's very
simulation
fun.
trying to trick you.
It was really fun. I'm glad I got to try out your game. I'm going to keep playing it for sure. It's insane. It's way more fun than I anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
And it is definitely replayable. I mean, it's one of those games that you
Very.
can come home from work and, like I kind of joked about before, but I'm serious now. Come home from work. Oh, that was a shitty day. I'm gonna jump on Black Ice, blow some spiders away, play some
Exactly.
like Tron music super loud in the background, and then turn
Yeah.
that off so I can listen to the awesome shit that's in the game.
Good
know,
save. Good
This
save.
might have happened. No, this might have happened before. I actually came home. I turned it on. I thought, I'm just gonna turn on some,
I do that
um,
with every game.
the
Now I think
soundtrack.
about it.
But then I always end up coming back to the game and listening to the soundtrack anyway, because it's like, oh man, this is so cool.
Thank you so much.
So we have about 10 minutes left. I just want to start asking like some other odd questions, game stuff. What was your okay? Were you keeping up with E3? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I was. I mostly was listening to podcasts about what was going on there. I didn't watch too much of it myself, other than trailers.
Right. What were you most excited for?
Honestly, the vampire game.
Yes.
Because I played one of the original, or I guess the original Vampire the Masquerade back in the day, and I loved that game, even though it was janky and I didn't actually finish it because I was really young. But yeah, I was real excited.
Yeah, if you play it now, if you do go back to play it now, you've got to get the unofficial patch just to make it playable, and it's worth it. But God, is it takes a lot of work to get it to function right,
Yikes.
Mm.
Yeah,
It's worth it though, 100%.
No, we're talking about music because for me, music is like I want to say literally in my lifeblood. I listen to music like at work for 8 to 10 hours a day, and I listen to a lot of is Black Ice music on Spotify by chance, or is it just on?
Huh? No, I don't think so. I guess I could talk to somebody about that, So we have like kind of a weird contract where like he can still sell the soundtrack on Bandcamp, but I can sell it on Steam, and yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of interesting.
Oh yeah, well now that I know where to find it, I think I can put it on as like a Spotify allowed. Well, I don't know how this goes about it because it sounds like I'm stealing it, but I'm not. I swear to God, I'm not. Spotify has this thing where you can upload the music that you want to listen to, but it's not for everybody. It's for you, kind of thing. And that sounds really weird. So I could buy it off Bandcamp, kind of thing. And I actually was just looking at Steam because I was like, oh yeah, the soundtrack is on there for $5. Because I deliver mail, and when I'm walking around on the route, I just listen to. Some days I listen to a lot of heavy metal, and then some days I just listen to a lot of video game music. And I know it's very polarizing.
It sounds like fun. I listen to the Tron Legacy soundtrack when I code a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh my gosh, I just thought of something stupid. Because Cody and I we were looking at one of these clips the other day. JP from Grandma's Boy.
Yep.
He's got like that like robot
techno
type
music in the background.
Like, does it scare you, or does it frighten you? No, it's just really loud. You'd like it if you had robot ears. Sorry.
Oh
okay.
my god. Yeah. No, I always talk
movie.
about how I need to get like a dentist chair and a whole bunch of monitors attached to the leg.
Just lean back.
Totally.
Oh my god. I gotta watch that movie again. Get yourself a little
Yeah,
Matrix
it's hilarious.
and everything. Oh my god. Oh, cool. I don't see, this is gonna be one of those things where we're gonna wrap up at some point, and I'm gonna be like, damn it, I should have asked, whatever, because I'm pretty much bone dry on questions. I've gotten way more out of this than I thought I would ever get out of it, because it's really neat. My goal today was kind of get into the mind of a developer, because I'm derailing my own train of thought again. I'm just so mesmerized by this. I gotta look away from the screen. Especially with a game that's I don't know, it's very abstract and unique. It's something that I've been really drawn to, and then to finally be able to kind of dig into kind of like what makes everything tick has I know it's really touched with me because I've actually been wanting to kind of make a game for a while. I don't have any coding experience, but at the same
You actually
time,
don't need that anymore.
right.
There's all sorts of things you can do.
Right. I've dabbled a lot in Unity and the Unreal Engine, and it's one of those things I'm like, man, I need a lot of time for this, and it's some days it's a little overwhelming because sometimes I work 10 hours and I walk I walk damn near 11 miles a day, so sometimes I'm just exhausted. And game development by any means is not easy. It takes a long time based on what we've seen, especially with these solo developers. And it's off-putting in its own sense, but at the same time, when you get a finished product or close, and people see it and interact with it and all that, I think that would be absolutely cool. I like to make things for myself. If people like it, cool. But,
Mm-hmm.
My friend CR calls CR.
Hi.
Hello.
My friend Ezra calls that maker's high. And because we've been doing a lot
Oh.
of crafting lately, like the miniatures and laying the boards and things like that, when we were kind of laying out the idea, drawing out the plan, that's one thing. But when you see it all come together and you see the boards start to look like boards and the nails start to look like nails, and you're using your tiny minuscule hammer to actually pound the nails in, like that's a cool feeling. Like that's an insane feeling, and it's so good. And I don't want to talk. I don't want to speak for Garrett here, but that whole idea of having one of your ideas, like this campaign that we're building, that's my story, and that's the thing that I it's digital, it's all digital, and then now all of a sudden I'm seeing it become a physical thing. That's a high that you cannot match. I don't think
Right.
I've ever found anything that's similar to that. And I have to imagine that game development is very similar to that, where you see it happen, you see people playing it, you see people kind of reacting to it. You put it out in the wild on a leash, but I mean, maker's high is what he calls it, and it's amazing. I love it.
I totally get that. Absolutely. It's I mean, a lot of people will tell you that making games is the greatest game ever because there's so much, like, you're like, okay, well, can I get it to the way that I want it to be, and then are people going to like it? Like, that's kind of your criteria of it, right? And I also actually used to be a dungeon master, so I totally, like, there are a lot of skills that transfer over there.
That's awesome.
Okay, since you said that, you now have to go to Gelf's Twitter, or Gelf, you have to post some stuff for him. You have to see the stuff that they're creating. It is so
It's so
detailed.
Yeah, I'd like to.
You guys haven't seen the mausoleums yet. It's unreal.
No, I haven't seen
what
that
they've
one yet,
done.
no.
It is so lifelike. It blows my mind.
I'll
It's-
post some pictures. I'll post some pictures in here actually, so you all can kind of get a look at it. But that's neither here nor there. That's for next podcast.
Next one.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the that maker's high. I like that explanation because like my overall goal with making the coloring book finally after how was it 4 years of growing my skill.
Something like
Been
that.
a hot minute.
I made
yeah.
a little 5x5 book. It's 25 pages, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put it up on Amazon, and I did. But I completely dropped interest because to me that was my final product, and I was happy with what I had. I set out what I set to do. Got my
You
little
did
book.
what you set out to do.
Yeah, sorry, I derailing my own. Just having a hard time focusing today apparently.
Thinking ahead.
We all want to
Yeah.
go play Black Ice. That's
Well,
Yeah,
I
that's
keep-
exactly
I
what
have
it is.
this, I have this GIF.
I
off
see
to
the
my
gifts
right.
going. Yes, yes.
And just
Oh,
once I got the
cool.
physical, copy in my hand, there was nothing else to do. I didn't want to market it. I tried a little bit, but I was like, I'm already happy. This is my final product.
That's kind of nice though, because you're able to. I'm satisfied with it. Like a
Yes, and
lot of
that's
people
very
aren't.
hard to
They got to
come
keep
by with me,
continuing.
especially.
Yep. Yeah, especially
But-
especially you.
The thing with me, like if I started getting into game development and I made a game like Black Ice, I have
You
that
have to
personality
keep updating
of
it. Yep.
I'd have that personality of I want to constantly tweak it, not because like there's something wrong with it, but there is
You
a
always wanna
never-ending
make it better.
feeling for me. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Is that how you are, Garrett? Do you think that you'll reach a
Mhm.
point where you're just like I'm good?
Okay.
I will get to a point where I can call it 1.0. Let me put it that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, no, I totally get like it is hard to keep up with the wanting to push the game and everything. And taking the game to conventions is really helpful for me. Having put out the patch and seeing that people like it has been really helpful for me. But yeah, in general, just putting things in front of it and getting that validation of like, yes, I did actually do a good job and I need to keep doing more of a good job here. But what they say in games is you really want to market it the entire time. Like you can't wait until it's done and then start talking about it because no one will care at that point.
Right.
But if somebody heard about it, maybe they saw it at PAX a couple of years ago and they're like, oh, that game's finally out. We should play that this weekend with my friends. And maybe
Yeah.
then they tell their friends about it, right? Like
That's
my
exactly how
goal.
that worked for Black Eyes. That's exactly how it worked. And
Yep.
Even then, what was it? Just last episode on the cast, Gelf was like, "Oh yeah, what was that one game? It was like Metroidvania style from PAX, blah blah." I still have all of my PAX cards. I walked in and found it. I was like, and that reminded me. I put it on my wish list. I'm still waiting for it to come out. And I was like, oh, that's pretty
Awesome.
That was
Yeah,
a huge
You need to
patch
buy
for
it
me.
early
That was-
access and enjoy it right now. Damn it.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and that's why the game is cheaper now than it's going to go up to $20 or $19.99 or whatever later. But yeah, we'll probably do that once we get like a good amount of like quests. We're gonna the biggest things that are left is the bounty system that I want to do, the quest system, which is basically just an enhancement to the bounty system, but with actual like plot and stuff behind it. And Eric's actually been doing a ton of writing on that. Eric being non-decimal, he actually used to write for the Matrix Online.
Whoa.
Yeah, he used to do the big like ARGs where he would pretend to be a bunch of different characters in the game, and then like he would take over one at a time, kind of like an agent was taking over them and talk to people. And they
Whoa.
thought it was all scripted, but it was actually him talking to them.
Oh my god,
Oh,
that's
wow.
insane.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's
That's-
definitely got some bona fides.
That's the kind of writing I want to do. Like I've been writing different stories and narratives for games, campaigns, things like that for years. But the only thing I've got published is poetry, which is bullshit.
No, that's cool too.
Gotta get traction
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, maybe I guess. But that's that I love video game writing, or what do they call it now? Narrative design, I think is like the buzzword now,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. But no, that's super cool. Quests and things like that.
Yeah, so it's the quests, it's the I'm gonna be revamping the achievement system in order to encourage people to re-roll and make more characters. So I'm actually gonna have it to where like if you beat the game with this particular um ach- this particular perk setup, which you can only get 3 perks per character. But if you beat the game with that particular perk, then it will unlock maybe another perk that you can try out or another item or something like that,
Awesome.
Yeah, that way it enhances the play space of the
Replayability.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some
That's
sort
one
of
thing
like I
it's-
really like
Oh.
unlocking things. So
I
Yes.
do too. Yeah.
It's satisfying.
And it's
As
also
a,
kind of a little bit of prestige, It's like, hey, look at this. I've unlocked all
Yeah.
of these. Oh,
I'm
that's
this
so
far,
cool. I
yeah.
want to do that. Well, let's play together, and level up and things like that.
I really wish a lot more people would take the time to look around in the indie game pile, because there's a lot of really hidden gems. Like, again, walking the PAX floor, there was a ton of games there, and they were all really good. But then you see this digital skull, black, bright pink, purple. Blue. I was like, oh my goodness, I have found the place for Brandon.
Drawn my attention.
Sorry, I know. We have to fangirl.
Synthwave
You're
Mecca.
here with us. It's gonna happen.
It's so fun.
Sorry, but we do have to wrap up. Unfortunately, it's been an hour and 33 minutes. Go team.
Jeez.
everybody. Yeah, I know.
Go
We're all
everyone.
quiet, waiting for the wrap up.
I know. Yeah, I'm so glad that we got to do this, Garrett. I absolutely enjoyed having you here. Please, for the love
Very
of God,
cool.
feel free. You ever want to jump on it? The time, the recording, it's all that. We'll be around. Let's run through the links again to where they can find you and all your stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if you just Google, if you don't remember anything else and you remember the name Black Ice, just Google Black Ice game and you'll find it. But yeah, everything else is like the Twitter is Black Ice the game, the website is blackicegame.com. But also for me specifically, there's superdupergc.com, which goes to the same place. Superdupergc, Twitter, Patreon. Yeah, and that's the best place to find stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I am. We'll have all the links. We're on YouTube, Spotify, and most recently, because I was supposed to announce this at the beginning and I totally spaced on it. So if you made it this far, hey, we're actually on Plex now, which I think that's another streaming service that also hosts podcasts as well. Like it's kind of like Hulu, but podcasts are
You
free.
did announce it at the beginning.
Did
You
I?
did.
Or
Yeah,
did
you
I
did.
record it? See, that's what I want to. I'm curious.
Oh yeah.
Because I know we were talking about it, and then we started going. See, it's whatever. But yeah, you can find me at Console Required. We'll go down the list again. Bearded, where can they find you?
On Twitter, I know, just Bearded XP.
Yeah, and I'm CMAX Survival on Twitter.
No hyphen. I have that on the layout, and I forgot to change it again today.
Oh, no hyphen. Hyphen. No hyphen. I didn't even
And
think
then
about that.
I'm on Twitter. I'm at GelfTTV. I'm on Twitch, just /Gelf. I'm also on Discord. If you see me on, just say hi. If I don't respond, it just means I'm busy. I'm not ignoring you. I swear to God. I've had a couple people come up to me. It's like, yeah, I sent you a message this morning and you didn't get back to me. I'm busy. I have a day job. I'm
Trust me,
sorry."
you don't want to get an answer from her. She's very mean. Also, Gelf has a Patreon. She's been working very hard on her crafting stuff lately. So if you want to go support Gelf specifically on Patreon, please feel free. Is it patreon.com/Gelf?
Yes,
Bling.
but there's going to be quite a few updates coming up in the next few weeks or two. So don't jump on that too quickly. Put it about halfway down your to-do list.
Gotcha. So what you should do with that instead is you should go to Steam or no, itch.io.
Itch.io.
Check out Black Ice. It's seriously, it's a lot of fun, and I'm gonna play it later tonight.
Yes,
After,
me too.
after I go get my car from a mechanic, and after I go edit the video, and you know what? It's probably about bedtime. So.
Oh my
You
gosh.
owe it to yourself to play this game. I
um,
know that sounds really cheesy, but it really is a fantastic
It's
game.
so much fun.
And it's
Well,
not.
thank y'all so much.
Of course. I mean, it's true. I'm not trying to blow sunshine.
Yeah.
Literally, it's just legitimately, and we talk about it. That's how this all came about. Is I started talking about it because I love the game. So word of mouth works, guys.
It really does.
Do you have any closing words, Garrett, or?
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention earlier, the Discord is actually the best like place for the game. So it's actually discord.gg/black-ice, or just Google Black Ice Discord. It's
I'll link that as well.
we have like a very nice little community that like, we moderate so people aren't mean there and all that. So it's just a nice place.
Cool. Yeah, that'll be. I'll put that at the top of the link list. So, and I'll put in little quotes. Best way to get a hold of Garrett. So,
And
all right,
maybe a
everybody.
little too much of me because I'm there like way too often.
Hey, there you go. Well, even better. So, anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/console required. Patreon. Oh, yes. Thank you to our patrons, Time Jumper, Risu. We always appreciate you guys. Yay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you guys.
Yes. Yeah, we're on Plex. I don't know the link to that. I have to. Like that's a.
Flex links are weird. We'll have to figure it out.
Well, it's more of a mobile service. Like when I try going on my desktop, it doesn't exactly function the same. Like I can't find our link. So just look up the required podcast and you'll be able to find it. So anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. We will see you next Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks again for having me.
You're wonderful.
So awesome.
You're
You are more than
breathtaking. All
welcome.
You're breathtaking.
right, goodbye, everybody.